probably the biggest lost opportunity South Africa has had, that we speak about, that we know, and it is the biggest opportunity in building any society in any country. The crisis in South African education. This is often viewed as a lack of money by some, but with a budget consistently hovering around 6 to 6.5% of GDP, placing South Africa among the highest spenders globally relative to their economy on education, the issue is actually one of systematic wrong turns all over the place in the education system, which used to be one of the best in the world actually. Let's look at an objective list of things that, if done differently, would have transformed the South African education landscape over the last 30 years, and thus transformed the people, meaning the population, and this country fundamentally. If you really want to change your country, you educate your country. First, the closure of teacher training colleges from 1994 to 2001. In the mid-90s, the government decided to rationalize the fragmented apartheid-era teacher training system. Approximately 80 to 100 teacher training colleges were closed or merged into universities. This shifted teacher training from a practical, vocational model, often located in rural areas, to a theoretical academic model in urban centers. Retaining and professionalizing these colleges, as done in countries like Singapore or Finland, to ensure a steady supply of classroom-ready teachers specifically trained for primary school numeracy and literacy, South Africa would have been in a different place today. The result is that South Africa has a critical shortage of qualified teachers for gateway subjects. As of 2025, over 460 public schools no longer offer mathematics because they simply cannot find a qualified teacher.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
And then the ANC took on what famously became known as OBE, or Outcomes-Based Education. This is a failed experiment. In 1998, South Africa introduced Curriculum 2025, a shift towards outcomes-based education. OBE was a system that was highly complex and required sophisticated resources and highly trained teachers. Most South African schools had neither. By the time it was fully scrapped in favor of the CAPS curriculum around 2011, an entire generation of learners had been guinea pigs for a failed methodology. A phased, evidence-based transition that focused first on strengthening the foundational 3 R's, reading, writing, arithmetic, before attempting high-level concept shifts. The result today, if the South African government had done that, is that the reading for meaning crisis, currently 81% of grade 4 learners cannot read for meaning in any language. Economists call this the lost decade of human capital development. This would not exist if we had never done OBE. Social progression policy. To combat high dropout rates, the Department of Education implemented a policy where a learner can only be failed once in a 3-year phase. Learners are pushed through to the next grade even if they haven't mastered the curriculum. This leads to a pile-up of academic deficit that usually result in a mass failure or dropout in the grade 10 and 11 year as we see today. Implementing competency-based progression, where learners only move forward once they reach a specific benchmark, supported by intensive remedial catch-up camps for those who fall behind, would have been what the ANC should have done. If they hadn't followed this sort of push-through philosophy, South Africa's 42% employment rate would be less today. Businesses frequently report that matric certificates are no longer a reliable indicator of basic workplace competency, forcing companies to spend billions on entry-level training. The erasure of technical vocational training, or TVET colleges. During the 2000s, there was a massive push to turn every post-school institution into a university, leading to the closure or neglect of technical and trade schools. Society developed a university or nothing stigma. Technical colleges, or TVETs, became seen as second-rate, leading to a massive shortage in artisans like plumbers, electricians, and welders. This is why AfriForum opened their own TVET college called Soltech. If alternatively South Africa had followed the German dual education model, where vocational training is held in equal prestige to academic degrees and is directly linked to industrial apprenticeships, we wouldn't be in the situation we are in today, where South Africa imports thousands of specialized artisans for big projects, while 7 million young people sit in what they call a NEET situation. N-E-E-T, not in education, employment, or training. And lastly, the effective hours gap. International surveys like the 2018 TELUS study look not just at how much we spend, but at how much teaching actually happens. The reality is that in South Africa, teachers spend 66% of their time in the classroom teaching. The rest is lost to administrative tasks, union meetings, and absenteeism. If the ANC had implemented a performance-based accountability system similar to Vietnam or Kenya that links principal and teacher incentives to time on task and learner improvement, South Africa would be in a different place today. Vietnam, with a much lower GDP per capita than South Africa, constantly outscores us and constantly outscores many Western nations in the PISA rankings because their effective school day is significantly longer and more disciplined. If South Africa had matched the educational efficiency of its peers like Vietnam or Mauritius over the last 30 years, it is estimated that GDP would be 25% larger than it is today. That's a completely different country, purely due to the increased productivity of the workforce. The truth is very simple, and at its core it's this, that everything that the racists who left South Africa at the time when the ANC took over, saying the blacks would ruin the country, have in some way been proven correct. Because the ANC has lived up to all the worst stereotypes and broken this country and not taken advantage of the benefits that were left by the fascist apartheid regime and built a great country on top of what had already been established. They turned us into a dysfunctional, social grant peasant state. To be led by such failed people is a disgusting thing, is a disgusting future. And all they want to do is steal, kill, and destroy. What if we do the next 30 years differently? First, get rid of the ANC. Thank you for listening. If you dare, buy us a coffee. The link is in the description.
Magwala, cheche, Hoya Rona, Hoya Rona,